What's going on, folks? Danny Burke here. Hope you're doing well and hope you're excited for the start of another NFL season. Kicks off tonight in Kansas City. The defending Super Bowl champ Chiefs are taking on the Detroit Lions, who apparently are America's darling team coming into this season. I don't know. Obviously, I'm not buying that, but that's to be expected as a Bears fan. Hey, before we get into my game preview and a best bet that I do have with a prop, let me tell you really quick about what I got going. If you're unaware, I did start a website. Check it out right there down below, burksbeat.com, covering all things baseball as of late, writing a ton of articles in terms of the bets that I have on a day-to-day basis, futures bets that I made and looking to make, etc. And you can subscribe over there, and all you do is get notified when the articles get released. So if you want plenty more baseball content heading into the end of the season and the postseason, make sure you check it out. And then college football, I'm sure if you follow me on Twitter, you are cognizant of the fact that I went to the University of Nebraska, and it's a lot of frustration. But for those of you who don't root for the Big Red like I do, and even if you do, I'm sure you are purely entertained because of how crazy that team makes me. So, got a complete area to voice my frustrations. Have already done so a couple times, and you can expect that to happen in the coming weeks of the season, along with plenty other college football content. Don't get me wrong, I just understand people love when I freak out about the Huskers, but that's a given. NFL, like we're doing right now, we'll have tons of articles, tons of video content covering my best bets, props I'm looking to pursue, futures bets, adjusted win totals, those type of things throughout the regular season, and Survivor contest picks and strategies that I'm going to be looking to use. I'll have you set up. So make sure you check it out, burksbeat.com. All right, now that we got that out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, let's look at tonight's game with the Chiefs and the Lions. Kansas City opened up as a 7-point favorite and has now come down to 4.5 for numerous reasons, but most importantly, because of the presumed absence of tight end Travis Kelce. Hyperextended his knee this past week during practice, and again, the assumption is he's probably not going to play. Why try to risk it in a game that features a terrible defense on your opponent's side and you have the greatest quarterback of all time? I think you should still be able to manage, and it's not worth the risk for one of your most valuable players in Kelce. So I'm not expecting to see Kelce out on the field. Chris Jones defensively, not expected, of course, out on the field. So that's going to hinder the defensive side of the ball for Kansas City, a relatively weaker part of their game in the first place. Detroit, an offense that really ended last season on a strong note. The bettors are expecting them to carry that over, hence why they're the short shot to win the division. People love Dan Campbell. They love this offense. I get it. I understand it. Not a fan of their defense. So the spread's coming down to the point where it may be a buy low opportunity on the Chiefs, but that doesn't mean I'm looking to bet them pre-flop necessarily. I'm going to wait in-game. Because this defense I already believe to be a weaker side of Kansas City. I mean, it always is. That's not me saying anything crazy. But because of that, and because of Detroit's offense improving last year throughout the season, naturally expecting that progression to continue, they're probably going to be able to put some points on the board, whether it be early on or later in the game. And if that's the case, and Kansas City's live spread comes down to below the key number of 3, or we get an affordable money line price, perhaps I'll look at that from an in-game perspective with Kansas City. So be on the lookout for that. I'll be tweeting out about it at Danny Burke 5. In terms of the total, saw it at 54 this week, or rather that's where it opened. It dipped down to as low as 52, I think, during this week. Now it's gone back up to 53.5. So nothing I'm touching with the total, but you have seen some alteration as of this past day and beyond. But I am looking at a prop tonight, folks, so let me dish you out my play really quick. It revolves around Isaiah Pacheco, over 50.5 rushing yards for the tailback. Minus 117 is the price I saw here in Illinois at Bet Rivers. Pacheco, in his final 8 out of 9 regular season games last year, went over this mark. And every single game that he got double-digit carries, except for one, he eclipsed 50.5. Now, in the postseason, he also went over this in 2 out of 3 games, and he's going to be going up against a defense that I believe to still be a big red flag, and especially when it comes to prohibiting the run game. Last year, Detroit allowed opposing tailbacks 5.2 yards per carry. That ranked 30th out of 32 teams. Now, the expectation is sure that should improve, at least you would hope, but until I see it, I'm not going to believe it. And because of the absence of Travis Kelce, you would probably expect this Chiefs offense to try to feature the run game a little bit more so, right? Take the strain off of Patrick Mahomes a tad bit in this first game of the year. Try to keep the ball out of the hands of this Detroit offense that is seemingly getting better and better and may even look better because they're going up against your hindered defense. So I think that's going to be implemented a tad bit more than it usually would be with this Kansas City offensive philosophy. And by the way, over the past 5 years, thought this was interesting. The Chiefs ran the ball more than 58% of the time when Travis Kelce was off the field. Now, look, I understand Travis Kelce was still featured in those games, and well, they're not using him to block in terms of the runs. I get that, but something interesting to note. I don't think it's going to be the same because, again, he was still suited up and he's going out there more so to be a decoy or, of course, to be a receiver, but something worth discussing. It makes sense to get Pacheco featured more. He was the featured back last season. I think Andy Reid looks to make a statement with that and Pacheco heading into this year in game number 1 against a weak run defense in Detroit. So give me Isaiah Pacheco over 50.5 rushing yards tonight for our first bet of the NFL season. Best of luck, folks. Enjoy the game and make sure you subscribe and check out burksbeat.com. Take care.